And the next person we have is Dave Trebert, and his subject matter is the denial of the open records request by the Wichita Downtown Development Coalition and the Greater Wichita Economic Development Coalition.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor Brewer, council members. My name is Dave Trebert. I reside at 13104 East Mainsgate Circle. I'm president of the Kansas Policy Institute, which is a Wichita-based nonprofit that promotes transparency and economic freedom. I'm here today to ask your assistance in allowing taxpayers to know how their money is being spent. In August, we sent an open records request to the WDDC requesting transaction-level details, essentially their checkbook, that shows how they spent taxpayer money that was given to them by the city of Wichita. We believe that Section 45-240B of the Kansas statutes requires that this information be available for public inspection, and a former legislator who helped write this section of the law pertaining to organizations like WDDC confirms that that was the intent. The statute very clearly states, quote, each not-for-profit entity which receives public funds in an aggregated amount of $350 or more per year shall, upon request, make available to any requester a copy of documentation of the receipt and expenditure of such public funds received by such not-for-profit entity. If such not-for-profit entity's accounting practice does not segregate public funds from other sources, the not-for-profit entity's entire accounting of its expenditures and receipts shall be open to the public. WDDC denied our request. They say they interpret the law differently, and they don't believe the law compels them to fully explain how taxpayer money was spent. Now, I should point out that we've had no direct communication with WDDC. We filed the request with them, but all communication has come through their attorney. For all we know, frankly, WDDC could be using taxpayer money to avoid having to show taxpayers how their money is being spent. So we come before you today to ask the city if the city will require WDDC to provide that requested information, and for the city to make it available to the public to see how their money is being spent. As stated in a recent Kansas City Star article, Johnson County DA Steve Howe says local governments are having trouble following the law when it comes to allowing the public access to meetings and documents. Doug Anstad, Executive Director of the Kansas Press Association, says the problem has become epidemic, and we have to agree, unfortunately. KPI has had to have district attorneys intervene on our behalf with 3 school districts in Wichita, Kansas City, and Lawrence, and in each case, the districts were compelled to comply with our open records request. Open records laws need to be looked at, need to be substantially improved. Government and their public-private partners should not be looking for excuses to avoid transparency. Instead, they should be fully cooperative and supportive of transparency, and there should be specific mandatory penalties for not doing so. When we take this issue up with the 2013 legislature, and there is growing interest in doing so around the state, we hope to include the city of Wichita on the list of governments that support transparency. And you can demonstrate that by by requiring WDDC to make transaction-level details available for public inspection. Thank you. I'll be happy to stand for questions.
Are there any questions? Mr. Riebesdorf, has the district attorney given a ruling on this? Because I know this has been before us.
I'm not aware of the district attorney's ruling. As you may recall, this issue was presented to the council previously, and at that time, the matter was under consideration by the district attorney. I did not receive any correspondence from the district attorney since we weren't involved in the request for the information. However, I can state at this point in time that the interpretation of the law is the district attorney and the attorney general's province. The city council does not have the authority to require an entity to disclose information under an open records request. Only the district attorney or the attorney general has that authority. There is some question about how much information needs to be provided, but again, that would be a legal consideration and a legal opinion for the district attorney or the attorney general to make.
If I could respond to that, Mayor, I'm not an attorney. I would have to agree with what Mr. Rubensdorf is saying. However, while you may not have a legal ability, if that's true, to compel under open records, the city certainly has the absolute right to ask for that information for itself, because that is taxpayer money that was given to this organization by the city. And you have absolutely every right to know how that money is spent. And actually, you could actually make that a condition of receiving future money, that all details of how the money is spent shall be reported to the city and made public. That's certainly within your purview. That doesn't require an open records interpretation.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks.